Hi, Mary.
Greetings to you. I look forward to this.
Excellent.
Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
Hey, is it just two of us so far?
No, there's 13 of us.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm going to begin, and then I'll keep track of those who come in later. Welcome to the Calumet Revisited Forum. I am Michael Bowes of the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative, and our co-host, Dr. Valerie Penninan of Calumet College, I assume will be visiting us shortly.
I'm right here.
Okay, she is, pops up there. So before we hear from tonight's speaker, Geof Benson, who's Executive Director of the Indiana Dunes Environmental Learning Center, Anthony Escobedo. I'm pronouncing that right.
Escobedo, yes.
Escobedo, okay. Who was Chief Naturalist at the Learning Center. Are there any announcements? If not, I'd like to make a brief one. The Calumet Nature Exchange meet this month on Saturday. That's March 20th. And that's by via Zoom. And teachers, youth group leaders, and students are welcome to attend. The presentation this evening is being recorded. The recording will be available within a week on Ollie's website. Would everyone be on mute? After the presentation, we'll have a question and answer session. I will turn this over to Geof, who should not be on mute.
I will try. Hopefully you can all hear me. Can you? All right, excellent. As Michael said, I'm Geof Benson, and I get to be the Executive Director of Dunes Learning Center. And I've been here, I'm just starting my 9th year. And so I'm really excited to be here. So thank you, Michael, for inviting me and Anthony to speak with you all tonight. I'm going to share my screen here, I think. And that's not what I want. This is so much fun. Hang on. You get all set up, you know, and then something happens and something goes to sleep. So we'll look at this. That's what we want. And that's what we want. There. Can you see it?
Got it.
Excellent. So this is a Calumet Revisited 2021. This has been going on for a while. Every month, Michael's been having somebody address you guys and tell you something about the Calumet region. And so we are here tonight to tell you about us and some of what we do. I know that a number of you know what we do and who we are, but others don't. And I'll bet that everybody, when we're done, will know something a little bit more about us. Hang on a second. There we go. So we are on the old grounds of Camp Goodfellow, which was started in 1941 by U.S. Steel for kids, workers, families to come out and spend time in the wilderness at summer camp. And it changed a little bit from 1941 to 1976 when the National Park bought us and walked away. But protect the land, and 20 years later, Bebop and Dale Enquist had an idea. Somebody's moving around on their mic, I think. Had the idea to make a residential environmental learning center inside the national park which was sort of modeled after the one in Cuyahoga. There's about 20 around the whole country, and we're one of them. And we are right there, right behind Chelberg Farm. And the National Park made cabins and a lodge, and we are open all year long. We have students and kids, campers come all year long, normally. And so tonight, what I'd like to do is to talk to you about what we do normally, what we have been doing since this time last year, and what really cool programs we've been adding. So in a normal year, like 2019, we would have about 14,000 participants, and which equates to 112,000 hours outside, that many nights in a national park, and stewardship hours. And how we do this is through school year programs that are residential as well as off-site in schools and local locations is what that says, but the font changed on my display. So summer camp, which you can still read, and adult and continuing education. So first, the school year residential, we have programs. Our flagship is Frog in the Bog, which is a 4th through 6th grade curriculum, 3 days, 2 nights in the national park. And they do a walkthrough time at Chelberg Farm and Bailey Homestead and learn about the culture and history. And then they also learn about the ecosystems and do a Coles Bog hike and walk through and learn about 5 different ecosystems. We have a middle school and high school program, Duneversity and Dune Scopes. So the programs change a little bit for the age groups and as to what it is they're studying, because all of our programs match state standards. We have a winter in the dunes, which we would be finishing up right about now on a normal year with the maple sugar time and stuff. The snowshoeing was perfect this year. We had all the snow, all the snowshoes, just no kids. We do Science Olympiad team training, and this has been very successful. The groups that come out, they do a lot of team building. We have 10 naturalists that train on different topics, so they can do very intensive training on their topics and do mock competitions, and it's a lot of fun to see. We can't fit everybody in the cabins to sleep here, and so we do a lot of off-site at schools and in local parks. So we do Nature Navigators, which is 3rd through 5th grade, and we do every 3rd, 4th, and 5th grader in Hobart, and every 4th and 5th grader and half of the 3rd graders in Portage. It's a large school system, as well as Charter School of the Dunes, Discovery, and other school systems. This has been a program with us. Citizen Science is the middle school program, and they study different things, and usually occurs in the springtime, which is coming up. We had a first ever Citizen Science Symposium at the Convention Center in downtown Gary 2 years ago. And last year we did it virtually, but it's been really a cool thing to see all these kids learning about these different things that they decide. They pick the topic and we help them. Calumet is My Backyard is topical for tonight, and they use this in the Chicago schools. Bill Smith kind of brought this over with him, and we've helped with that. I think Gary is in the picture on the bottom right. And it's a very nice curriculum for the high school programs. Dunes to You is a program that we do. It's an outreach program for special needs kids and special education, adults and kids. And this has been really wonderful to see. They love it. And we do this in Lake Central and in Michigan City and in Gary at Westside High School. We also do we have a partnership with Wilderness Inquiry and the National Park and lots of other partners at Wolf Lake in Hammond, as well as Lake George and Hobart, Lake Station on the river, and in Gary at the Marquette Lagoons. And a good year, we get about, that's Mayor Freeman Wilson, the past mayor, and the far left. We let everybody canoe, and it is really fun to see these introductory experiences change these kids. I should have said that we usually get about 3,000 kids paddling in a couple of weeks in October. We also, our summer camps, which we have many sessions. They're a week long. We have a Chelberg Farm Day Camp that we've been doing, and this is for little kids that aren't spending the night here. And they love it, and they really like that the animals are back there, and they get to learn about them as well as other things and activities. We have our Discovery Camp, which is our widest one. We have the most sessions, and again, my fonts are off the screen, but they really have a good time and get to learn and do things that they've never done before, which is a lot of what they get when they come here. Whether it's a night hike or seeing the beach, hiking through the dunes, they get to challenge themselves and overcome their fears. And it really is transformative. We have 1 week of teen camp, which is 14 to 17, and we partner up with everybody, with NWIPA, the Northwestern Indiana Paddling Association, to go kayaking, and the National Park to go fishing or biking, and it's a good time. Each year we hire 10 naturalists, which are college graduates, to live and work here and lead the hikes. And in the summer we have current college students act as our cabin leaders. And this is remarkable. So Anthony is one of these kids that came here and started as a cabin leader and then became a naturalist and has worked his way up. And we base the whole thing on repeated experiences, where you might start with an introductory bird hike or a canoeing program, and then a nature navigators, which is 3 times, and then you might come here with your school group, and then you come here in the summer, and then you come back and as a counselor, and then you be hired as a naturalist, and then you go on to be president or whatever else you want to be. That's and it is really tremendous to see the growth that all of these participants see. And so what we're really building is not only environmentalists, but people with incredible skills and a lot of self-confidence that goes a good way in the job workforce. And so we started a program of fellowships. And this year we were lucky enough to have 2 fellowships, from one from First Source Bank and the other from Caramita Engineering out of Indianapolis. And they sponsor a naturalist for the year. And our goal is to have all 10 interns be sponsored as fellows. They are here normally for a year, sometimes 2, and then they move into the workforce. And I want to do a side story here. We applied for a grant from Boeing, and we received one. This is several years ago, 6 years ago maybe. And the Boeing employees have a program in Gary because of the airport, and so they had awarded us a grant. So we met at the Boeing headquarters in a big high-rise building in downtown Chicago, and there was 4 or 5 executives for Boeing that were around, and we were waiting for some big wig to come hand us the check.
Good books.
We started talking, and every single one of them had been a cabin counselor at a summer camp.
Selling books.
I thought that that was an amazing statistic because they were that high up in corporate leadership and they had all had a common experience of being in a summer camp experience. And so when they keep moving up and getting older, we move on to adult and continuing education. And we do workshops and tours, professional development. We've done some with Shifting Sands, the film that Pat Wisniewski and Lee Botts did. We've done a number of different ones and we continue to do them. 2020 was a little different for us and I think everybody in the world. And our campus shut down in mid-March and we canceled the school groups and the summer camps. And we were able to still have a pretty good impact. We served a total of 10,790. And so it was about 2/3 of what we normally do, which we, after adding it up, thought that was pretty remarkable with what's been going on. But we did this by having some maybe dumb luck in that we had received some grants in years prior upgrading our internet service. We have fiber optic and high-speed internet in every building. And we had gotten some grants to improve our computer access and video and some other things, but not for these reasons. But when the pandemic hit, we were able to pivot and switch things around. And so our outreach lessons went online and we were able to finish the year with all of our schools by doing interactive things online with them and helping them learn the things that they would have learned on the field trips. So in outreach for our last fiscal year, those are our numbers, which were pretty good. We also put our big gala online. We made it a week-long virtual thing with 8 different videos, and we're very surprised with how well it worked out. Linda Padilla up in East Chicago was our Green Apple Award winner, and you can see these videos on our website if you're interested. The national park also seized the opportunity of us being shut down for a while to do some much needed improvements. They redid our kitchen, lodge, cabins, because this is all owned by the national park. And normally we're so busy, they can't ever get enough time to do these big projects. And so they came in and really helped out and we are ready to go. As I said, last year, summer camp was canceled. So the staff decided to make it virtual and offer a summer camp in a box. And so we had campers that were able to get activities and tools that would help them explore nature at home and be connected with us, and also do some virtual trail group things with the naturalists. So our residential students and teachers were down from previous years, but we had done this all by March, by this time last year. So that was really good. The other thing that we did was the staff. So Anthony, who's going to tell you some about what they're doing, he and Jamie, who's our residential manager, right after the pandemic had closed everybody down, there was National or International Frog Day, and they wanted to do something. And so they went out and tried to find a frog, and it was a miserable day. It was cold, rainy, and they went out and they found a little tree frog, and they did a video, and it was pretty much Anthony and Jamie sitting in the car out of the wind because it was too windy to hear, and they're holding a little frog and talking about it. And we put it online, and we later got some wonderful feedback, and some of it was from a woman who thanked us. because she and her daughter were looking for things to do. They'd seen that, and the daughter was smitten and wanted to go look for frogs. So they spent an afternoon in their backyard looking for frogs. And then they spent the weekend at a park looking for frogs. And they finally found some things and some other things. And she thanked us for getting her and her daughter outside looking for things and having a wonderful time. And so this struck us that this really does work. It still works. It's just a different medium to get to our audience. And so the staff came up with a bunch of other things, a bunch of other ideas. And so Anthony and the crew came up with the Search for Sand Squatch, which is an imaginary, well, maybe, it's a creature in this that lives in the Indiana dunes, and they went searching for it. And this was a 8-week-long, 1 episode a week program that people have used. We've recently gotten feedback from teachers that they assign it in their class, and that the kids learn and they all enjoy it and look forward to each episode. It is online. Artisan in Nature was another one of, drawing and doing art in nature, and nature in your neighborhood was to observe things and help with kids doing that. And Fresh Fruit Fridays was that we have a secret garden for growing things and agriculture, and the kids were able to do that. And so this is not what we plan to do forever. This is just, we were able to stay connected, continue to serve our students, and keep inspiring curiosity and stewardship with nature. And as we continue to do that, Anthony has something to show you of what we've been working on for now and some in the future. So let's see, I think, there we go. I'm going to stop and I'm going to hand it over to Anthony. I think I can get my mouse back. There we go. All right, Anthony.
Thank you, Geof. And thank you everyone for attending. As Geof mentioned, my name is Anthony Escobedo. I'm the Chief Naturalist at Dunes Learning Center, and I also grew up in Northwest Indiana. I grew up in the Maryville, Crown Point area. And did you know that more than 52% of students right now are fully virtual learning in school, and there is more online learning when you take into account hybrid, where students are doing some part-time in school and some part-time at home. So I wanted to tell you guys about the virtual program that we created in order to support our teachers and our students who would normally be doing programs with us. So this virtual program is called Frog on the Login, and it consists of 3 components. It consists of a pre-visit activity, creature feature, and a post-visit activity. And our Frog on the Login was designed to support our in-person programs, but these can also be done as standalone virtual activities for teachers and students. So the first one is the pre-visit activity that I was telling you guys about. So for the pre-visit activity, we wanted something that would introduce students to the Indiana Dunes National Park before they came for a visit. And we felt that by providing a guiding experience, especially virtually, was accessible for students, but also when we allowed for those guiding experiences, they led to more impactful moments when they were out on the trail with us. And fortunately for us, Google was already a solid platform for us to do this. And you can see here on our presentation, we start off on the Dunes Learning Center campus, and we can explore and look around, and students can explore and look around and see, well, what does it look like? Where am I going to stay at? What does the campus look like? They can do that all before coming to their visit. And then here, the design of it is that there are the 5 major ecosystems of the Indiana Dunes. So before coming to their with visit, a click of the button, we're transported to West Beach in this case, but it is the open beach ecosystem of the Indiana Dunes National Park. And here's where we can really see the functions of Google Earth. So we have the ability to zoom out, zoom in. We also have a 360-degree view of the open beach and the people at the open beach. And again, with another click of a button is what I think, or what we think, is one of the coolest features of this system, is that, again, with the click of a button, we're transported to another part of the national park. And we were fortunate that Google has already inlaid some of these virtual trails, and we can virtually hike up the dune and take a look at the marram grass, the cottonwoods, and if we turn around and look, we still get this amazing view of our national park. And just seeing this view, doesn't it make you want to take your shoes off and feel the sand between your toes, or maybe experience running down the dune and what that would feel like? So once we established this introduction with our students, part 2 was the virtual-based education. So for this program, it was titled Creature Feature. And Creature Feature is a virtual program that's using Google Sites, and it takes students through an investigative process to search for clues, all while they learn about the local ecology of the Indiana Dunes. So here we can see we start off with our page. Each of the pages have these, wait till it loads, has these sound bites so that it reads the text to them for accessibility, but also if a student doesn't want to read a lot or has trouble reading or any kind of thing like that, we offer that accessibility. But the story begins with the students learning that they're at the Indiana Dunes. They find this mystery book that talks about some mythical creatures, and one page is missing, the Salamander page. And you've been given the quest to fill in the parts of the missing page for the Salamander. And they're learning key concepts and key standards like food chains. They're learning adaptations. They're learning about the ecosystem. And once they begin the quest, we have, again, our 5 major ecosystems here that they'll be visiting and gathering clues. And the way that the program is set up is that at each ecosystem, there's 3 parts to it. So the first part is an introductory video that familiarizes them with the ecosystems with one of our staff. They learn about the main characteristics of that ecosystem and the organisms that inhabit those areas. The second part of it is an interactive component, whether it's a game or a puzzle, but they're applying the information that they learned in that video and demonstrating that they gathered main concepts in order to gather a clue to fill in that missing Salamander page. And then the third and final component is an interactive piece where they can click on parts of the ecosystem and they're learning more information as well as gathering more clues. So I would like to demonstrate what one of these pages look like. So I'm going to stick with the open beach here.
My name is Kayla, and I am a naturalist with the Dunes Learning Center. Welcome to West Beach, which is one of 8 beaches in the Indiana Dunes National Park. These open beach ecosystems can be found along the 15 miles of Lake Michigan shoreline, which is here within the Indiana Dunes National Park.
Ever wonder why there's not many plants or animals at the open beach? Sand and harsh conditions make life really hard. Here's one organism you may see visiting the open beach for food. The ring-billed gull has webbed feet to swim and wings that help it fly long distances. These gulls are omnivores, so they eat both plants and other organisms. They're also very opportunistic, which means if they see food, they will try to go after it. Ring-billed gulls can eat fish, insects and bugs, garbage, and food that is discarded or even unguarded by people who visit the beach. But the open beach by itself cannot support the ring-billed gull because food can be hard to find. Organisms that call this ecosystem home must be adapted to extreme temperatures, bright sun, and high wind conditions. This limits a lot of life. The mighty duo of wind and water continually shape the open beach ecosystem and characterize this ecosystem by its open stretches of sand and its lack of plant life.
So from there, the students get, the introductory video. They learn the main concepts about the ecosystem and the organisms that live there, and then they're applying it. So here in the video, we learn that omnivores, ring-billed gulls are omnivores, opportunistic feeders that eat both meats and plants. We learned that ring-billed gulls have webbed feet that allow them to swim in water, and then they can fly, which allows them to travel long distances. And once they complete it, you can see that it congratulates them and it gives them a clue to fill in their salamander field page. And if they continue and they're exploring parts of the environment or the ecosystem, they're clicking and they're learning as they're clicking and exploring parts. So here it says sand is very porous, water passes through it quickly. And then here, again, it talks about the different organisms at the beach, and you see a clue here. So salamander does not live at the open beach. And once the students gather these clues, we've created a place for them to keep track of them all. So here at the Naturalist Notes tab, they click here and you can see once it loads that all of the clues that they will be gathering can be collected and organized in this section here. And once the students have able to collect all the clues, there's a page at the bottom that says to fill in the missing salamander page. And once they click this, it prompts them to this form. And this form is for teachers to use to see that the students have done assignments, but it's also for us. And it's for the students to demonstrate. So they fill out this form. Once they filled out the form, I've already done it for us. But once they fill out the form, it's a congratulatory page. And it tells them to submit their findings, to submit their field page. And if they hit submit, it prompts them to a link where they can then see what salamander looks like. It gives them some more information about a salamander, such as diet, area, and about the salamander itself. And then finally, we reward them with a congratulatory salamander specialist page. And then again, we link them back to some of the other content that we created. So once we've created the creature feature that allows students to explore and learn about those environments, we wanted to draw on those connections a little bit deeper. And to do that, we created the post visit, or the third component of our Frog on the Login program. So for Frog on the Login, we're looking to make deeper connections on our ecosystems, but we wanted students to apply them more broadly across other ecosystems in the United States. And as we found in the pre-visit, the best way to introduce areas virtually was using this Google platform. So we looked to Google Earth. It kind of created that nice beginning and end in the same kind of spaces for students. But again, it was a good introduction. So just like before, we start off at the Dunes Learning Center and refamiliarize students with the platform. And what we wanted to do was we wanted students to recall the information that we learned at these ecosystems and then apply it across that broader scope. And what we learned was when we were creating this content was we were looking for how could we gather resources to make those comparisons and contrasts. And what we realized that we had a really cool set of resources available to us in the form of previous naturalists or alumni. And those alumni, when we reached out and asked them if they would like to participate in this, they were all so willing and helpful in doing that. And they created videos to educate on their ecosystems. And it really is just a cool example of you know, like Geof had stated earlier, we're not only creating stewards of this local area, but these naturalists go on to other places and are environmental stewards other places as well. And that was really cool. So with our 5 ecosystems available, again, in our table of contents, our 5 major ecosystems, we were able to highlight 5 alumni naturalists, and we were able to allow for students to create a parallel between ecosystems. So here at West Beach, if we click on a button, we're then transported to all the way across the United States to Port Angeles, Washington, where we have a naturalist alumni in Port Angeles, Washington. And here she does a video and she talks about the organisms and the main characteristics of her open beach all the way across the country. And we supplement this activity with a form that allows or helps guide students to draw those connections and those contrasts. So there are questions that make those comparisons or help students make those comparisons between ecosystems. So as you can see, we created this virtual experience to not only support our teachers and our students, but to strengthen our programs as well. And it is an ongoing process for us to continue to support our community. And this summer we have, as Geof mentioned, 2021 summer camp. And thankfully our camp is already almost sold out. And we also have these upcoming workshops. And we are also booking these now. And that's what our Frog on the Login is and upcoming programs. And I wanted to thank you guys and open it up if anyone has any questions.
A question in the chat, Anthony, and a comment.
Salamander, please correct to salamander, which is the image shown, mud puppy. Interesting. So it does resemble a salamander. It does resemble a salamander. We created this. Our naturalist, Kayla, who Geof had mentioned, she created this animal from design and has some different adaptations than a salamander. And it was a play on the word salamander and sand because of the Indiana dunes. So sandamander.
Yeah, it's not a real. It's not a real thing.
Correct.
Because we're encouraging people. It's a food source potentially, and we don't want them to take it out of the park. So I'm kidding. So that's mostly what we've been doing, is a lot of online and virtual things like this as well, and trying to make the best of this and of this global pandemic. And I think we're doing okay, I think. So.
Do we have further questions?
Nobody's typing anything.
I think I have everybody on mute.
I guess I would just like to say congratulations, and it's an incredible success story. The number of kids and young adults you serve just blows me away. In 8 or 9 years, to put an organization like that together is astounding.
Well, so in fairness, we're in our 22nd year. So I just picked up the reins 8 years ago. So but this program, the Frog in the Bog, has been around for at least 20 years, 22 years. I think Matt could help with that. He's nodding yes, as Matt was around and helped invent the curriculum with the other founders and other.
That's correct, Geof.
And so
Greetings, fam. Greetings, fam. Greetings, family and friends. How y'all been?
Good, Blake. Good to see you.
How y'all doing, Durs? Long time no see.
Hey, Blake, good to see you.
I just want to ask you if there's any conservation work during this pandemic, especially with butterflies, turtles, birds, and stuff.
If are you asking me or Durs?
I'm asking you,
Go for it, Jeff.
and the guy with the dark hair.
Okay, Anthony. So there is even the national park is still not really doing a lot of in-person programming. They are doing some volunteer work, and so there is some conservation work with that. I would encourage you to I think it's I'll put a link in the chat here in a minute, Blake. But Jim Whitenack runs that, and he does a very good job. Mary Levan is a volunteer, and right now they're doing the Maple Sugar Festival, except it's not a festival; it's all virtual right now. But they are doing some conservation work for volunteers, and I'll find it and put a link in there for you.
And what's the status for the Blandings turtle, Corner blue butterfly, Massasauga rattler, and others?
Ooh, well, I'm not sure I can answer all those, but I know they're doing a Blandings turtle project north of you in northern Illinois and in Wisconsin this summer. They've been that's with Gary Glowacki, I believe, and the Massasauga, I don't know. The last one I saw, I gave to the DNR. So and when he got it from me, he said it was only the second one he'd seen in 30 years. So,
And the Corner blue butterfly, I know it's extinct, not just from the Dunes area, but also all of Indiana because of not only climate change but habitat destruction.
yeah, extirpated, I think is the word that they use. And because extinct would be completely gone, extirpated is from the area. And I believe Notre Dame has some populations, but they can't be brought in here because they're not sure of their genomes and stuff. But it's the line with climate change and Corner blue butterflies seems to be moving north. So that's sad.
It stinks. What about for the Mitchell? What about for the Mitchell Slater's butterfly?
For the what? City?
I said, what about for the Mitchell Slater's butterfly, which was supposed? I said Mitchell Slater's butterfly, which was supposed to be which is supposed to be a reintroduction in the works at Pinhook.
I don't know about that. So let me tell you, Blake, that so we are not the national park. We are a nonprofit that runs this learning center inside a national park. So we have a really cool cooperative agreement with them and work with them and share resources and money and things like that, but not regulations and that sort of stuff. So they're really the ones you have to ask about that. So is that helpful? I hope.
I'll go check up with them.
Okay.
Jeff, we also had another question come in from Valerie that said, do you expect a return to normalcy for Dunes Learning Center programs this summer, or will the transition be gradual?
Gradual. So we are doing a reduced capacity. We're going to be operating at about 38% this summer. And so that's our plan. Every plan that we make, we try to keep a lifeline to the shore because as it changes. But our plan right now is to hire full staff and open up and start June 1. Before that, we will do some test things and have some smaller groups, but then the 38% summer camp. And then we're hoping that by the fall, we'll be able to be at full capacity, but I don't think that we will have full capacity. I think it'll take another year or two to regain people's confidence that they can come. So good question. What is your process to develop programs? Anthony?
Yeah, that's a good question. And on the residential side, developing programs can happen a very different way, but I think since we're most familiar with this frog on the login, I'll speak on that one. And the process of developing that was, it definitely wasn't easy. We started down one path and found that didn't work. But it all really started off with just assessing that this was an opportunity. Geof approached the team and said that this was a wonderful opportunity in front of us to work on things that we felt that we needed to work on, but never have the time to work on because we're educating. So we took that opportunity and assessed what would we like to have and how can we accomplish getting it. And collectively as a team, once we started to work through those fine lines of, assessing what we need and how can we get there, we found that together as a team, and we were fortunate enough in this time to have a team that we had the resources available, had the support, and then most importantly had the work ethic to figure it out and to accomplish what we have. But it was definitely a lot of team collaboration with one another and brainstorming and bouncing ideas. And hey, I'm stuck at this part, and then somebody comes in and says, hey, I figured that part out for you, and back and forth. And fortunately we had that team available to do that.
There was a couple other things that we ran into while doing it. One was accessibility. And so Anthony talked about that on a few levels. So you saw that the closed captioning of the videos was already done, and then also the audio files to read the page in case you can't. So that was, and then right before that actually was an algorithm for deciding your audience and who you are talking to. And they ran the text through this algorithm, and it said you're talking to 9th graders and 11th graders. And so they had to go back in, and the algorithm was measuring how many words per sentence, how long, how big the words were, what the words were. And they said, oh, you're talking to 9th graders. And what was it, ecosystem? Was that one of the words that they said was too big for them? And even though it's in the state standard, this is what you're going to learn.
They were also counting syllables. So even using the word Indiana has so many syllables that they were saying that was over the reading capacity of the 4th and 5th grade students who we were primarily targeting for this program. So
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
That's the main point, the whole point.
So we have learned a lot
Well,
putting this together. A whole lot. But so far we have gotten excellent reviews. Like I said, the Sand Squatch thing is being used. The Artists in Nature, our nature navigators, is very popular. The Salamander program that Anthony was doing. We are working with a teacher in Akron, Ohio, and he's been very engaged. And so one of the things that we've learned is that although we're not as crazy about virtual as real being in person, but we are able to reach wider audiences. And that is with some of our adult programming. We have had people from Canada, Minnesota, Vermont, all over that are now engaged in our adult programs that, certainly can't come here physically, but they can participate virtually. And so that's an opportunity that we hadn't really thought about when we were going into it, but it is a great benefit. Is there anything else? Any other questions? So who is your next speaker, Michael? That's what-
Who's my next speaker? Don't look at me. My wife says, don't look at me. I'm trying to remember. This month is what? March, right? So, it's the art. Yeah, the art. I don't know. It's on art.
Ah,
And then May, it will be at Big Marsh. Here, just a second. Okay, yes, April will be Kelly Freeman, who's a special projects director on history and mission of South Shore Arts. And in May, Paul Fitzgerald, friends of Big Marsh, on his organization's mission and purpose. And he's not quite finished on, he's going to bring in something else as well. Oh,
maybe by then, everybody will be vaccinated and you can meet in person, right?
yes. So in the fall, what is, you're thinking of what was the percent of in person
In the fall?
for
what the
you? Yeah.
percentage- So at this point, I would say we will be open 100% for students. It's just how we will not be at capacity, I don't believe, because I think we'll still be struggling with getting people back into feeling comfortable with this.
Well, I hope everyone's learned a lot this afternoon, Geof and Anthony, and I appreciate you coming out. And we'll talk to you later then.
Okay, the one thing I would encourage you to do again, if you haven't done it yet, is to look at we went through, hang on a second. I'm gonna put the link in here we go, in the chat. So there's a really cool program next week on stingless bees in Peru.
Amen.
And I think that you might learn a whole lot about that. If you've never been to Peru, I would tune in and watch it because it's in the Amazon. And
All right.
but thank you so much for
Thanks, Jeff.
inviting us, and thank you for letting me drag in Anthony to show you the cool stuff that we're doing.
And we're going to have the recording of this meeting on our website. So I am going to encourage teachers in the area, if they're not familiar with you, to check that out. So,
Excellent.
okay, take
All
care.
right. Well, thank you all, and be safe.
Yes.
Be safe. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Adios.
Okay, bye.